Are we live? We are. Chad, welcome.
Thank you.
This thing, I'm trying to get used to this whole.
Yeah.
We had a table, now we have like a studio, the lights, the
Completely
vibe.
upgraded.
Yeah, I mean, we did a good job. I think Rachel did an incredible job here.
Rachel did do an incredible job, but I think we do need to make an announcement that I am the first guest
Of Dial It Up with Fawaz. The first guest
in
our
this
new
studio. Space,
Yeah.
and I'm honored to be here. Truly,
I feel like we're like it's like a radio show. It's weird. Like, I feel like this is like the lights. By the way, they can change colors. Do you like the red, or should we change it?
I do like red. I like purple as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a coffee guy, by the way?
Funny that you just asked that. So I can just shut things off very quickly. And I was finding myself drinking so much coffee. And when I say so much, like 7-8 cups of coffee a day. And then somebody suggested I try from Starbucks this tea. Sorry that I mentioned Starbucks, but
London Fog?
it is not.
It's not
It is.
London Fog.
It's actually. It is. It's this mint tea, and it's called a medicine ball. At least I believe it's what it's called. I don't know. It's on the app. You press a button, but it has some honey, and it has some lemonade, and I get mild lemonade or like a low amount, and it's wonderful. And I'll drink that a few times a week now, and I have had 3 cups of coffee, actually 4 cups of coffee in the last 45 days.
Wow. And you sure it's on the app?
It is.
Because I can't find it on the app.
I'll show you.
Yeah. You sure no one
Yeah.
is just like ordering it for you, picking it up?
It's like a Venti citrus mint tea.
Oh, so it's not called Medicine Ball. Well,
It's
when I go to
not.
the app, I'm trying to find Medicine
I think
Ball.
that is like a TikTok name,
Yeah.
like, how you like go up to the line. I have 2 daughters, Fawaz. My God. Give a shout out to Emily and Alana, 14 and 16 years old.
Now you make me feel like I need to give a shout out to my kids.
But I will tell you, they'll go up to like the Starbucks whenever we would go, and they'll be like, we want the TikTok drink. Yeah.
Hey,
Folks know.
these kids these days.
Yeah, I know.
You gotta try London Fog.
Is that what Bob drinks?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually,
Katrina got me on this, and it's
Yeah.
actually really good.
I don't know. There's like cream and like
There's
froth.
There's
and
milk, but
too-
you don't have to. Like, I get half of the amount of milk.
It's not my thing. I'm a very simple human being.
Yeah. You want me to order you London Fog? We try it. Come here while we're here.
No.
You sure? I can. All right. Listen, it's crazy. I've known you now for like almost 11 years.
Yeah.
I remember I was just a banker in your world, and now look, here we are. It's been great. How you been, by the way?
Well, first
You're
of all,
looking good.
I must tell you,
Yeah.
thank you. And I appreciate the compliment, and I want to acknowledge that I just heard that. However, super proud of you and what you're doing and all the amazing people that you get an opportunity to lead and to work with all across America, and how much time and effort that you put in. It really just shows your level of care for all aspects of your life, and it's inspiring to see. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, and I want to acknowledge that. But this show is not about me today.
Okay.
It's all about you. And I know I have a lot of questions for you here, but let's go off script for a minute. We've had the opportunity to host you at All Access now, which is our partner event that we do in Detroit. We have hundreds of partners that fly in, and we have conversations, and we break bread. And you've joined us twice now.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Chad, like, I've known you now almost 11 years, almost 12 years, by the way, and I've always been inspired by how you have the ability to develop relationships, or really build relationships. But hearing you at the last All Access, it was incredible, and here's why. I heard someone that was genuine. You told an incredible story, and you communicated that story in such a smooth way where I was interested in it the entire time. But you were also funny.
I am funny.
Yeah, you are. You were funny, but you were genuine, and everyone, I remember you challenged me if you'd get a standing ovation, and you did. So I want to start from there. Like, we'll come back, we'll get to know you a little bit more, but like, I want to start from 12 years ago, I got to meet Chad Weinbaum, and today Chad Weinbaum are two different
Yeah.
people. Like, walk me through this. Like, where are you today in your life from like just a leadership standpoint?
Yeah, no, it's a huge question. Could take up the entire show
It can.
here.
We'll do that. We're at 7 minutes already.
I will tell you is we all grow up and we mature. But you only grow up and mature if you really want to. You know, there are folks in this world that they don't really want to learn. They don't want to grow. They say they do, but they don't really put the time in to do. And, you know, I can go back, you know, sure 10, 12, 15, 25 years ago in my life, but really where I've really done tremendous reflections the last 5 years. You know, I had an opportunity to really like look inwardly at myself and say to myself, like, what opportunities do I have in my life? Not just in business, but in life. And I started working on those things. You know, better relationship with my children. You know, I raised 2 girls all on my own. And it's not easy. I used to not take feedback extremely well. Very, you know, not open to feedback. I always said I wanted it, but then I wouldn't listen to it. And about 5 years ago, I really just had a change in my mindset where I can learn from everybody. I'm open to learning. And then the greatest lesson that I had is that I put out there that I wanted to do something different inside of this organization. And I ended up starting a brokerage in Canada, which was just a huge growth opportunity for me. And why that is so meaningful is because I had tremendous growth. Took so many steps backwards, personally, professionally, you know, trying to figure things out and building things. Made so many mistakes, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm sitting here today as somebody who is stronger mentally, stronger physically, and somebody who is focused on continued learning.
You talked about like five. First of all, you talked about like you had to raise 2 daughters on your own.
Yeah.
And I know look, I had help in my life raising both my kids, so I can only imagine what you've been doing, and you've done an incredible job. I really want to compliment you and talk about that. You're an incredible father. I hear about your interactions. I hear about the stories. Not once where we ever talk. Like, there's not a time we talk where you don't talk about your kids, and it's really, really incredible. You did also talk about like 5 years ago. Like, there was a turning point about 5 years ago. And typically, like, when there's a turning point, something happened.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear from you. Like, what happened? Like, what made you make that change?
Yeah. Well, prior to that 5 years ago, I heard a gentleman by the name of Isaac Litsky, which I just encourage everybody to watch this TED Talk. And he came up on stage. I was at a meeting, and sometimes I'll check out. You know, I'm not fully engaged, not fully paying attention. And I listened in the very beginning of his presentation, Fawaz, and he came out and he said 3 questions, and he pulled out a walking stick because this gentleman was totally blind. And what a great way to like really just captivate the crowd there. And I started really listening to him. And he had an amazing backstory. And they told him that he would never amount to anything because his ocular degeneration. And as time went on, his business was failing and his mom had to infuse money into it. But at the very end of it, he said a quote, and hopefully I get this right, but he said, "What do you fear? What lies do you tell yourself? How do you embellish your own truths and write your own fictions?" And it was like a lightning bolt moment for me. It's where I'm sitting there and I've said to myself, I do fear things. I do lie about things. I think I am better than really what I am. And I started leaning into that. And that was 7 years ago. And then 5 years ago, I just made just a conscious effort to continue to be a learner. Because part of what I get to do every day in leading people, as a leader, you got to be an example. And if you're not learning and you're not growing, how do you expect others to do so?
Yeah, it's awesome. You gotta be knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And you gotta be learning at all times. And if you're not learning, you're not growing. So yeah, I totally agree with you. It's crazy though. Like sometimes, like it doesn't have to. You don't have to go to like a webinar, a seminar, or you don't have to go to like a TED talk to learn. There are daily learning moments in our just daily interactions. There are learning moments. You just got to figure out, like, do you want to learn from those things that's happening or not?
But that's learning too.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens. Always people are looking at for like the positive learning experiences from everything and like what can I take away and completely implement. But you also can learn like what not to do. You can say like, oh my gosh, that didn't work. Like I'm not going to try that. I'll screw up something else on my own. And even with my kids, I have to grow and learn because at times, and I think as a parent, you want your kids to be something that maybe they don't want. And when that happens, who are you developing? It's like you can give guidance to people, but ultimately it's going to be up to those people or your children in this case to make their own decisions and make their own mistakes, but to be there for them when they do and help them, not to rescue them, but to help them along that way. That's where the growth happens.
Yeah. You brought up like, hey, sometimes you want things for your kids, but they might not want those same things.
That's right.
I dealt with it personally with my daughter. I wanted her to do to go to school and do certain things, and then I had to. It took me a minute. It was like a year process, but I finally learned that she's gonna do what she wants to do and I need to support her in that.
That's right.
But I had to learn that.
But that's growth, and that's what I don't know if people like at times recognize those things. And the other thing that I try to do often is I share those things with people. I don't just tell them all these amazing stories of perfection, all these great things that are happening in my life. And there are. And I'm truly grateful for those things. But I also share those bad moments and things that are happening in my life because that is a way for me to connect with people. I want to open myself up and really give people the understanding that I also have problems in my life and not everything is perfect. And a lot of times people get to see life via Instagram or LinkedIn and they just think everybody's life is perfect. They're sitting around a dinner table and cheersing and, who knows what happens before or after that dinner. It's that one little moment in time. And to me, that's not reality. So what I try to do is actually focus on real, genuine reality.
You talked about connecting. I just walked down on the fourth floor, and we walked by a bunch of bankers. And look, I've walked this floor many times with many leaders. There's not a lot of leaders where I hear people walk up to them, chat, chat, chat. And I heard that today, and I saw it, and I know why, because I say chat, chat, chat. I've worked with you, and I understand what you're capable of. Why can't Chad Weinbaum do all these things and connect at that level, but not a lot of leaders do?
Well, I believe all leaders have the ability to do so. Some of them, it doesn't maybe come natural. For me growing up, I had a unique childhood. My dad was not very present in my life. My mom raised 3 boys on her own. Now I'm a, father that raises 2 girls on his own. And when you have experiences in life, you can either like shut down and say like, why me? I can't believe the cards that I'm dealt, or you embrace them. And when you embrace them, you realize there are other people that actually may not have the similar thing that's going on in their lives, but they have things that are going on in their lives. But when you open yourself up to people and you share those things, it's not that I'm just their leader, okay? And I can hold people accountable and I can get upset at people, but I can also give amazing praise and recognition. But people know that I'm coming from a good place. And by sharing me with others, it shows that I'm open to learning more about people. And that's how I connect with people. But I also love people. I genuinely love people. There are some people that, they don't. Probably shouldn't be a leader if that's the case. But when you have a genuine care for people, you want to look out for the best for them. And you know what happens when they can feel that? They actually want to look out for you too. And that is what just creates great relationships with people. And I've been blessed to have that, of course, of 25 years here in this organization. And I've worked with some of the brokers that, we're going to be connecting with. I've worked with thousands of people here as well. I've led them, but I've also been a part of their lives and their weddings and births and deaths and terrible situations and amazing opportunities that has happened in their lives. And I'm super prideful of that as well.
You have a skill. And it's the first time I'll tell you this, by the way, so hopefully you're ready.
Oh, boy.
And we're not editing this part.
Oh, no.
We're keeping it.
All right.
You have a skill that I think is pretty incredible, but it's annoying sometimes. At least for me personally. I've been annoyed by it.
Open up to me, Fawaz.
And yeah, see the lights. It's the lights making me feel like we're in one of those sessions. The skill of listening. You've always been an incredible listener.
No, that's
not
you
have.
accurate.
For me, at least when I come talk to you.
All right.
But you don't say anything. Like you typically, I'll sit there and I'll be like venting. This is what's happening. This is what's on my mind. And you're just okay. Which I think it's good because not a lot of people allow people to speak. So, and I appreciate that. But a lot of times, okay, are you going to say anything? And you let me figure it out.
Yeah, it's. I think annoying is a great word. But what it's showing is that I'm there and I'm present with you. I'm not just, formulating exactly what I'm going to say in the perfect remark to you. That may come later. I may have nothing in that moment to actually give you from an advice standpoint. And I think a lot of times that's where leaders make mistakes. We're constantly just want to solve issues, solve. But you know what people want is that they want someone just to listen to what is happening in their lives. Not everyone's just looking for you to just solve their problems, but by you listening to it, that giving that person the opportunity to talk through it, maybe eventually you can give your own advice and how you would approach it. It creates an amazing connection. We all have certain things that go on in our lives, but a lot of times, you share with me because you know that I'm going to listen to you. You also know that two things will happen. Either you're going to fix it or I'm going to be there to help you. But no matter what, I'm going to be there as a support to you. Whether you're doing it on your own, just knowing that I'm there and I'm supportive of you, or I actually help you by starting a conversation with somebody, etc.
I don't want to miss on this opportunity because you said you share with me because you know that I listen and I'm genuine, but I also share with you because I trust you.
Yeah.
And throughout our relationship, you've helped build that case to where I can actually trust Chad Weinbaum. I come to you and I can have a conversation and I know you have my best interest.
I do. Again, it comes back to I care. Now, again, my opinions are not always right. They're mine. They're genuinely unique to me. But maybe if I give an opinion, maybe you don't take that advice, but maybe it creates some sort of additional dialogue in your head to help you. Maybe it wasn't those words that I just gave you. And I think at times, did you execute on what I told you? That's not leadership either. It can't be just because one person tells you something that is exactly how you're going to do it. That's the way that I would do it. How you're going to approach it is going to be totally different. When I think about situation of building trust, yes, you listen. You try to give the best advice. Being there, helping that person through whatever issue it may be. But again, sharing myself creates that trust. When I tell you about things that are happening in my life and things that I'm going through, or sharing my goals with you, or with thousands of people. As trivial as some of my goals may be, it connects us with one another. I actually have a goal, Fawaz. Well, it was last quarter. I wanted to take 2 dance lessons. I'm up to 6. All right.
Wow.
Dance lessons. I wanted to learn hip hop. Why? Because when I have confidence, but when I go to a dance club, like, people are dancing, I sit on the sidelines because I feel like I look like an idiot. I feel as though every person is looking at me. They're looking at the bald spot in the back of my head. Whatever it may be, it is a lack of confidence. Walking into a dance studio, Fawaz, having somebody look me in the eye, take me by the hands, show me moves, looking yourself in the mirror and laughing at yourself, levity, self-deprecation, just making fun of yourself in this great way that you're doing it. And why I share dance with people is because we have so many people that are amazing dancers. And you know what people did? They said, hey, I can help you. You know what other people said? Maybe I can do something different. That's, again, how we connect. We share personal stories. But here's where I think as well we go wrong. We throw vulnerability out as like this, be vulnerable. Well, vulnerability just doesn't come like that, okay? It takes time. And people are more vulnerable with others. But even, as I continue to learn about myself, I learn that, of course, I share things with people and I'm vulnerable, but I still have armor up. And that's one huge thing that I'm talking to people about right now more than ever, is that we have to get rid of the armor. We need to be more authentic. We need to be more vulnerable. We need to be sharing more, whether it's feelings or hurts. That's when people really connect. And we do that more, you're going to connect with even more people. And I'm not just talking people that you're leading. I'm talking about clients, because now they can feel the genuineness in you.
Genuine.
Yeah.
I agree. That's part of you being so genuine that I trust you. Stock mortgages. At the end of the day, this is what we're in. We're in the mortgage industry. It's been a fun couple of years. We had a good couple of years before, but it's been a fun, called 18 month. We have a lot of loan officers, a lot of broker owners, even processors that are going to watch this podcast, and I'd like to touch on a couple of things that hopefully I can address what's on their mind.
Yeah.
What keeps Chad Weinbaum motivated, especially in this market? You've also been through this market, and what are some of the things that you do to help you get in every single day? And I know sometimes you can't be every single day passionate about everything you do, but what drives you and what helps you continue to want to drive in this market?
Yeah. So when I think about another word, think about a lot of words, okay? But being empathetic and understanding clients and understanding what people are going through right now. Empathy is, getting down on one knee and just listening to what people are saying. But if you're not in tune with your own self and your own emotions, it's very hard for you to be empathetic for others. So we talk about that. I talk about gratitude. A lot of times, especially in this market, what do people focus on? Oh, it's a tough market. Things are really horrible right now. Oh my God, am I going to be okay? Am I going to, be able to pay my bills? Why not focus on being grateful for the opportunity you have? Why not focus on the learning that you can make in this market, the career that you can create in this market could take you the next decade. November 25th, 2008 to a year and a half ago, things were amazing. Yeah. Yes, we had some bells and whistles. How do I know that date? My daughter was born on that day, okay? To me, when I think about being grateful, having gratitude, expressing what you are grateful for. I mean, we give so many tools, but again, do you take advantage of them? Are you a learner right now? And then being an example. And it's not just being an example for others. You have to look at yourself in the mirror right now, and you need to say to yourself, am I doing everything I can and should be right now? And that's where I look at time and where we are investing time right now, because I do believe that they're not investing in the right skills. They're not investing in the right attitude. They're not investing in the effort that they should be putting into those things and into their business, into the people that they're leading, into things that they're doing in their lives. They're kind of like, things are just tough and like, hopefully we just get through it. And that's where you need that genuine optimism. You can't put your head in the sand right now and just like hope it just like gets better. This is where you can actually lean into what is happening in our industry and be a better person as a result, rather than the opposite of just putting your head in the sand and just hoping things get better, because they're not.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. You can't wait. You got to continue moving. You got to continue learning, and you just don't let the market put you a couple of steps back. Like, always try to fight hard, and always don't let anyone tell you can do or can't do something.
Yeah,
I talk about that a lot.
And it's so relevant. And when I think about, like, if you want to, there's a question about just what's an important trait you look at in a. And I know that, but I want to touch on a couple things. Please. An important trait of a leader or as a loan officer, I don't look at a difference. I look at them exactly the same. You lead you. The most influential person that you have in your life happens to be you. Who do you talk to the most in this world? It is ourselves. Yeah. And like, what are you saying to yourself? Is it like the poop and the misery and all the bad things that are happening? I don't invest my time in that. Does it rear its head at times? Do I think of that? Yes. But do I squash that quickly and then I focus on something different? I do. But being a person in integrity and creating trusting relationships and being empathetic and sharing yourself with others, your team members, your clients, and then the authenticity of yourself, I think you can get through anything. And then I've been, talking about leading with love. And I think people are like, oh boy, what is this guy talking about? Well, I think love is a very complicated thing. And, it's hard. Being in a relationship, a loving relationship, and I'm not just talking with the spouse, it could be anybody in your life, that there is like a connection that you have, a love, is that you got to work through that stuff. And that's where, creating an environment where people can actually genuinely talk about what is on their mind, because people all have fears. But you know what some people do? Nothing. They never talk about it. They never share it because they don't want to look like an idiot or weak or less than. But I look at that as like, those are the weak people. Those are the ones that are like, they don't really understand what true growth is. The ones that do talk about feelings and emotions and what's going on in seeking help in certain ways and asking people for assistance and guidance, and then taking that information and doing something with it, that's where genuine growth really happens. And that's what I focus my time and attention on right now. Those are the things that I talk about. And then lastly, bring down that armor. Who are you? People walk around and they try to be somebody. They try to be somebody else. They try to be this executive or somebody they read in a book or they saw in a movie. It's like, who really are you? And when you are the most authentic you will, in my opinion, you're going to have tremendous success in life because you're going to be open, most importantly, into learning.
I love it. I really do. Look, I know we had a ton of questions, by the way, but we didn't follow any of them. I know you touched on a couple, but it's okay. We talked about learning moments and learning in life, and this half an hour was a learning moment for me, and I want to thank you for it.
One of the other things that I just, wanted to touch on is I I had a learning moment in the last meeting that I was a part of, where you mentioned I got a standing ovation,
Yeah.
which was incredible. But I shared with you and actually many others. I won't give his name, but he's from Baltimore, Maryland. Came up to me after the presentation, and
Yeah.
I was floating, Fawaz, out of the room. I just felt so great that the presentation was great, and this person comes up to me and really just gives me like some complimentary things, and he connected to a few pieces of my story. But I totally missed out because I was talking about Ted Lasso, that people, if they've never seen Ted Lasso, they don't understand the beauty of him. This super genuine, authentic, charismatic, feelings focused, emotionally intelligent human being who's not afraid to share himself with others. And he can also build a great culture with a strong belief system. And this guy said to me at the end of it, he said, your meeting was amazing, and then it crashed and burned. And let me tell you, I thanked him for that, and I walked down a flight of stairs to my car. I was so angry. I was so angry because I was feeling so good. And you know what happened? He hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
But as I hit the last step, I was so changed that mindset. I was so grateful for that genuine, honest, brutal feedback because I'm open to it. And then when I've had those conversations afterwards, number one, I've shared the story with people that I missed out an entire group in that room. Fortunately, small group, but I missed out on a group of people that had no idea even who Ted Lasso was. Why I share that is because you have to be open to even the feedback, and sometimes it can be given via the needle. And that gentleman certainly did so for me, and I'm grateful to him because I've shared that story so many times that I have taught other people of knowing your audience. And are you going to connect with everybody and make sure that the presentation, and it may be even talking to a client, are you genuinely connecting with that person? Do you really know who you're speaking to? Have you gone deep enough and have a greater understanding? And now when I go into presentations now, I am so much more prepared of who's in that room, what I'm about to talk about. Maybe I need to frame something differently. It's called growth. And when you continue to be open to that, that's when, no matter what market we're in today, you will succeed.
Look, you talk about the jump. First of all, thank you for sharing. And I've heard you share this, by the way, a couple of times.
Yeah.
And for sure, it's a learning moment because you're sharing what you learned from it. And the gentleman from Baltimore, he didn't have to share that feedback with you, but he wanted to, because I genuinely believe that he wanted you to get better at the way you present it.
That's right.
And sometimes our egos get in our way when we receive feedback, and feedback is not easy. So I've learned. I don't know if I believe I've learned it from you, where I'm someone that you could tell I'm passionate, and sometimes I let my emotions get the best of me. And I believe once you told me, if you receive feedback, you should sleep on it for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Thank the person that gave you the feedback and walk away. Don't even think about it an hour or 2 hours later. Wake up the next day and start evaluating the feedback. And I'll tell you guys all this. If you do so, and if you take that advice, you're going to see things a lot different. You will notice, like, the way you would have interacted right in the moment versus 24 hours later, it is night and day.
Totally. And it's painful. Feedback is like, when it's really good feedback, it hurts. It stings.
Yeah. And you want to address it right away. You're like, how dare you? Let me tell you why I did this. And you start coming up with a lot of excuses and trying to justify all this. But when you walk away and sleep on it, it's a lot different.
Spot on, Fawaz. And then lastly, I just think about just change. People will say change is a constant, right? Like life constantly changes. But we throw the word change around, that it's like just so easy for everybody to change. Change your business, change the way you're doing things, change something in your life. We need to understand that change is constant, but sometimes change sucks. And when you have an understanding that, yes, it may not feel great immediately, but continue to surround yourself with great people, you can change through anything in any market that is happening because the people that you surround yourself with. And I love surrounding myself with great people like yourself and our team members here and so many people in the community, because those folks are the ones that allow me the opportunity to make change at least easier. Because change is not always easy, and we're going through it right now. And people need to understand that it's never going to go away, and you need to embrace it. But it's okay to say, I don't love it, all right? But eventually you will, because you're going to understand it at a higher level, which is awesome. That's all.
Chad, I appreciate you.
Appreciate
This is
you.
it for us. Another Dial It Up with Fawaz. It's our first one in this beautiful
Thanks
setup.
for having me here, Fawaz.
I love the
Truly.
setup. I like the lights. We might have to change the color though.
I just, my hope is that maybe when people watch this, and however it's going to be delivered, is that, you just take nuggets of it, and hopefully it will just get people thinking, maybe not of our words or exactly what we're talking about, but getting people thinking, just maybe a little bit different is where that growth is really going to happen. And I'm just happy you're doing stuff like this, because that's called growth, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And as always, let's dial it up.